Good morning, everyone. Virgo here. It is September 24th, 2019. Happy Tuesday to everyone. And I would like to go over a comment that was left overnight for me by a Mr. LuciferAzraEl. This particular comment has a lot of statements in it that I would like to be able to address for both Mr. Azrael and for those of you that subscribe to the Virgo Triad channel. Now keep in mind this particular comment was placed on the video that I did yesterday showing you the person that is part of the consulate that was showing individuals how to load, clean, and addressing guns. Okay, so that's the video that this comment was placed upon. So first of all, Mr. Azrael says, if this was a European teaching people about guns, you wouldn't have a problem with it. No, you're wrong. I would still have a problem with it. Anytime that there is mobilization of a group that spews nothing but hate, there's a problem when there are weapons involved. And I would absolutely speak out against it and have in the past. See, there's over 500 videos on the Virgo Triad channel, and clearly you have not checked them out, because if you had, you would see that what we do here on this channel has absolutely nothing to do with race baiting, unlike this comment, but that's okay. I digress. The Second Amendment, he says, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state and right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Hey, you're right. The Second Amendment does say that. But one thing that I think you're missing on here is this little statement right here. A well-regulated militia. And let's face it, these individuals are not very well regulated. The reason I know that is a good portion of them have records and shouldn't even have any kind of a weapon near them, let alone using one. Being necessary to the security of a free state and the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. I agree with that. I do not agree that it should not be regulated. You can't take a group of individuals that are joining together for the purpose of hate and state that it's a well-regulated militia. You just can't. And here's some information in addition that I think you might find interesting. The well-regulated doesn't just have to do with the actual weapons. It has to do with the people that are holding them also. It is sad that you people are worthless and illiterate and don't know you constitutional rights. Now, let's not be the pot calling the kettle black here. It is said that you people are worthless and, with a D, illiterate, and, with a D, don't know your constitutional rights. That's the way that sentence should read. So we need to work on the grammar here a little bit before we start talking about who is or isn't illiterate, or, these kind of ad hominem attacks are really very, well, we'll just say it doesn't look real good for you when you start making statements that look like this in writing. Also, he left the consulate a long time ago. Well, the person that was in this video, his name is Jamal, and let's take a look at how far he left the consulate by listening to this Facebook recording that he did just shortly after Sharon Tracy Gale Bay was arrested for the second time on September 15th. mean, we need to look at factual information, right, LuciferAzraEl?
I recently made a post about Moors arguing on Facebook, and how while we're busy arguing on Facebook, the Europeans are able to just run up on people like Sharon, Tracy Gilbay, who is a Moorish American, and just arrest her on YouTube or Facebook Live, whatever she was on, and there was not one Moor there, an armed Moor there, and by arm I mean with a gun, sappy plates, bulletproof vest, preferably more than one Moor, there to help prevent the European colonizers from stealing one of our people. I made that post on Facebook a few minutes ago, and I read some of the comments, and a Moor, and this is not a personal attack against that Moor, said something about this would not have happened if her status was correct.
Yeah, that's not really sounding like he's left the consulate. It actually sounds like he's advocating for weapons to enter into the consulate, which would be kind of weird for somebody not involved or at least advocating for the consulate, right? Not looking too good for your argument there. Everyone has the right to bear arms. Guns are for protection. Plus, you never know when a European is going to decide to go on a mass killing spree like you all always do. Well, let's kind of take this apart here. Number one, everyone has the right to bear arms. No, not everyone has the right to bear arms. People that have previously proven themselves not to be trustworthy with weapons in their hands do not have the right to bear arms, okay? So that's something you might want to look into. Guns are for protection. That's true. They are for protection. But a lot of people are not using them for the purpose of protection. And that goes back to the original statement that I made with regards to not everyone having the right to bear arms. Plus, you never know when a European is going to decide to go on a mass killing spree like you all always do. That is just plain a racist comment, because like you all always do suggests that everybody you're speaking to are someone who goes on these mass attacks, when in reality, it's a very small percentage, and it really also has nothing to do with race. There are several instances where there are all kinds of different individuals that go on these agendas, as you call them. But even still, either way it goes, one being wrong doesn't make the other one right. So let's get that straight. Why don't you talk about stopping the European from the mass shooting agenda instead of talking about people who are standing on their square? Well, number one, I don't talk about people who are standing on their square. I don't even know people who are standing on their square. I'm not even sure why you're standing on a square, but regardless of whether you're standing on a square or a triangle or an octagon, it really makes no difference to me. And, I'm not really sure why you're making this statement, but I'm talking about anyone on this channel that is spewing hate, such as this.
If you're here at Northwestern Mexico, you will behave or you will leave, either in a body bag or on a ship.
Or who are making just terrible comments towards people, such as this.
Where my chattel property at? Get in here. Get in here. Y'all get in here. Hurry up. Y'all hear Massa talking. Y'all hurry up and get in here. Y'all hear Massa talking. Hurry up and get in here. Where my chattel property at? Get in here. Don't make me get my chain.
Stop being illiterate and read the Constitution. Now, see, it's really interesting that you would say that, because aside from the fact that there's a grammar issue that's going on here seriously, illiteracy is not generally something that you would state if you know how to read at all. What you're speaking of is just simply not doing your due diligence, which actually, unfortunately, in a lot of these cases, are going to fall on your shoulder there, Mr. Azrael. So let's talk about this for just a second, okay? Let's look at some of the examples that you've given here. You've given here the Dummies Don't Read Title 28 U.S. Code 3002 of the United States Codes of Law, whereby you go on to attempt to try to badly prove, as I'm about to show you, that the United States means a federal corporation, and then you go on to make another ad hominem attack that says when you're worthless and instead of and. See, you need a D at the end of there, Lucifer, in order to actually make a cohesive sentence. But regardless, illiterate, you just talk because there is a hole in your face. All right, so let's take a look at this example of Title 28 U.S. Code 3002 that Lucifer is so convinced makes the United States a federal corporation. So, as pretty much everybody that follows this channel already knows, 28 U.S.C. 3002 is often claimed to be proof positive that the United States is supposedly a corporation, due to what it is that Lucifer actually just said in his comment, because there's a section in there that says a federal corporation. But first we need to understand the basics of statutory word definitions. If you read the top of the section where I've got highlighted right here, very carefully, you will see the words as used in this chapter. And there's a very good reason for that, Lucifer. That means that those definitions only apply within that specific chapter of the USC, which you're looking at currently right now. At a glance, it covers about 124 sections out of the many thousands in the U.S. Code. Moreover, the definitions only apply in federal proceedings that fall under that specific chapter. The same definition does not apply and is not used anywhere else in the code. So yes, for the purposes of that chapter, the United States is defined as a federal corporation. This argument is busted based on the scope of the definition alone, though. Clearly, something that applies to just one chapter of the federal code can't override an entire nation. We can really look further in on this, though, and find the exact intent and reasoning behind this particular definition from the description of the chapter that we see that it's related to. The chapter that this is related to has to do with the fair debt collection practice. All right, so let's take a look a little further into this. So how we can quickly find out more about this is by searching Google Scholar to see what the courts say. Google Scholar, by the way, that's something that all illiterate people search, I just want to say. Looking at Google Scholar, we see what the courts are going to say about this, and we're going to take a look at a case that is the U.S. versus Bongirno. And we're going to look at the Court of Appeals, First Circuit, and this is a case from 1997. And we're going to go down here that I've already got up for you, the footnotes of this, and you'll see where this is actually quoted. Okay, you see where it says the 28 U.S.C. 3002. In this connection, it defines the United States. In this connection, it defines the United States as A, federal corporation, B, an agency, department, or commission, C, an instrumentality of the United States. Okay, and we can see that by taking a look at the footnotes here, that in footnote number 9, it shows, in passing the FDCPA, Congress evinced a clear intent to exclude private transactions, debts created under and thus governed by state law, and to which the United States was not an original party, for the grasp of the FDCPA, REP number 101 through 736. Okay, done. What we're looking at when we actually take a look at USC, 28 USC 3002 is simply a definition, and it's only used within that chapter. So what was it again that you were saying about being illiterate? Finally, we see at the end here that Lucifer states, when you're worthless and, without the D, mind you, illiterate, you just talk 'cause there's a hole, not HOLE as in a hole in the ground, but WHOLE as in you have been made whole on your face. And what I can say to that, Lucifer, is this is one area that through personal experience, you definitely have an education in.